It is the start of week 2, and I can admit when I was wrong, like really wrong about the week 1 tier list, okay? A lot of things are going to change right now, and we're going to fix that and remedy a lot of situations, okay? So very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move Compress. Compress does not belong in D tier at all. And this tier list, just to preface for you guys, is purely based on kit and how much potential the character has and how good the character can be. And for that reason, we're actually going to move Compress up to B tier. I think he is a solid character. He can solo carry. He can do all right overall, and I think he is actually quite useful with this kit. His ability to compress allies and heal them, and his ability to escape is really good, and his damage is really good, and the reflect is really good. It's all really good stuff. The only problem I have with Compress is his kit is a little too simple and easy to use, but that's that's not really a problem. That's a good thing. So he is definitely going up to B tier. He is not quite as good as some of the S tier characters that we're going to move to S tier, but he is definitely, there's an argument to be made even for A tier for Compress. So we might move him around even more. We'll see. The next character that I absolutely know I want to change and I want to move around right now is Bakugou. Bakugou needs to go to S tier. He is insane. His AP shot, it can just spam and literally kill people so quickly and ridiculously. His grenades, his AoE is good. His ability to fly around and reposition and then snipe people is ridiculous. So the mobility, the damage, the power, everything that he has is really good. He has like the benefit of a mobility character while also having the benefit of being a power character at the same time. Makes him really insane. Really good. I know I'm getting tripped up over my words, but like he's just so insane. The next characters that we need to move are Yaoyorozu and Ibarra. Yaoyorozu is still pretty good if played right, but she is hard to play for a lot of people. I'm actually going to move her down to B tier for right now because her range is not that great. Other than her cannon range is amazing, and when her cannon hits, it's really good, and it could do massive AoE damage to enemy teams. Her main attack, her alpha attack, does a sweeping motion and hit multiple enemies at once. It's really good. Like, she's so strong if used right, but I do think she's one of the harder characters to use, and so for that reason, we're going to put her in B tier. Also, I think she just gets outranged by some of the other characters that we're going to put in S tier, and that makes it harder to use this character. Ibarra, I think I'm going to put her in A tier. The reason I'm putting her in A tier is because she does lack mobility, but other than that, her kit is still phenomenal and insanely good. It might be a little bit hard to solo queue as her and do well, but if you have a decent team behind you, you'll do fine. So Ibarra is definitely going A tier, and I think I'm very comfortable with putting her in A tier. And I'm happy with the way S tier is looking now. Looking at A tier, there is only one character I would probably move up, and that's going to be Todoroki. I think Todoroki also belongs in S tier because of his wall. His wall being able to block so many projectiles is insanely good. His fire is almost, his main fire, his alpha fire is almost as ridiculous as Bakugou, so it's really good, and he just does a lot of damage output. Plus, he has good maneuverability too with his ice where he can slide around the map. It's not quite as good as Bakugou, but it's pretty good. So realistically, I would put Todoroki a little bit below Bakugou, but I still think he's S tier. And Kirishima, he definitely needs to move. I think he has really good combo potential. But just the fact that there's these range characters in game that are so ridiculously insane, I feel like Kirishima has to go down to B tier as well because he's just going to be hard to use. He is going to be hard with his range and very difficult to use. The speed characters, they definitely do not all belong in B tier after playing them. There is one character in particular that needs to move down, one character that needs to move up, and I would say the other one stays about the same. So the very first one I'm going to move up is going to be Froppy. I would say Froppy is definitely A tier if you use her right, and I don't think her skill cap, like skill level, is too hard to get a grasp of, but she is definitely a fun character to play, and she can definitely carry your team with revives and damage. She's so good. The next character I'm going to be moving is Uraraka. Uraraka and Froppy are very similar with their movement styles, except for Uraraka has to use her special, her zero gravity, to be able to move like Froppy, and even then, her grapple isn't as good as Froppy's tongue. So we're actually going to put Uraraka down in D tier. I really do not like Uraraka's kit. Yes, she has the hammer or the car that spins forever and can do multiple hits of damage even after an enemy gets up. but her kit just doesn't work well together, and that's what this tier list is about, is kits. How good are the kits? Her anti-gravity field matched with her spin, matched with her grapple, is just all very hard to cohesively use, unlike other characters who you can cohesively use very easily. So like Kaminari, you wrap yourself in lightning with his special, you dash into the enemy, then you hit his AoE, and you've pretty much taken out a whole health bar, and it's easy to do. Uraraka, very, very hard to use, and her kit is just not the greatest, so we're going to keep her in D tier here. I feel very comfortable putting this character in D tier just because if there was any character that needs a buff, it's her. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And then Iida, I know some people definitely want him in A tier, but at the same time, I feel like his one skill that lets him run really fast and then, you know, tuckers him out is kind of it's a good thing for getting away, but it's a detriment at the same time. And for that reason, I feel like he's kind of lacking a skill, whereas other characters like Sue, kind of his counterpart, his speed counterpart, is not lacking a skill. All of her skills feel great. All of her skills feel amazing. So for that reason, that is why I'm keeping Iida in B tier. And I know that might upset a lot of people. I know he has insane combo potential. I know he can potentially take out a whole health bar on his own, given the right circumstances. But his whole kit, I feel like needs to be good, and there's one part of his kit that is specifically not all that great in my opinion. And for everyone else, I think I'm pretty comfortable with keeping All Might in B tier. He has decent damage. He has okay range. You know what? I'll put All Might in A tier. He also has his jump that lets him escape, so that's good too. Shigaraki will keep in B tier because he doesn't have any real good mobility, so it's hard for him to get around, and he can do decent damage, but that lack of ability to get around makes it a little hard to use him. Cementoss, I might argue, is S tier. I'm going to keep him in A tier for now, but just his ability to make platforms for your team, his ability to snipe people from across the map, he's just chaotic fun. He does still lack some movement, which is why we're keeping him in A tier. Now you could argue, he has movement though, because he can throw his cement down and move himself. Like, yes, but it's not the same as like Bakugou, who's insanely good. And last but not least, I of course have to cover Kendo, because people were like, justice for Kendo, because she's actually really good. She's a great support, and yes, she is decent with her shield. She has an okay primary alpha attack. That's like really my biggest problem with her. Her hands clapping together is actually really solid and does great damage. Her biggest problem, once again, is just mobility and range. And because she lacks both mobility and range, for that reason, I am going to keep Kendo in C tier for right now. She can, when working with a team, I would argue be A tier. She can definitely be A tier if you have the right companions with you, people who are going to work with you and work around you. But that's the problem with Kendo. You need people who are going to work around you. And for that reason, I am going to keep her in C tier, but there is definitely an argument to be made that given the right circumstances, she could definitely be higher on the tier list. But that's why I'm keeping her where I am. And that's just for everyone out there that wants justice for Kendo. You know, I have to be fair, and I feel like C tier is fair for her after playing her a little bit. I can't put her any higher. And looking at this tier list now, I'm almost happy with it. I'm actually going to move Compress up. I want to move Compress up to A. If I move All Might up to A for his jump, I feel like Compress also has to go up to A. Now, Compress doesn't have 2 damage skills, but his reflex skill is still really good, and it requires a little bit of thought, and so I'll give Compress A tier. I feel like that this looks a lot better than the week 1 tier list. I am much happier with this, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with this now? Do you disagree? Are there any characters that should still be moved around? And I will adjust accordingly based on, you know, whichever comments get the most likes. I know there were comments for Bakugou on the last one and comments for Kendo, and we moved one of them. The other one I feel like has to stay there, but at least I feel like the reasoning is sound for why she's there. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and once again, leave me some comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.